Alright guys, welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video on my channel. So as you can see, I finally managed to reach Master Ball rank. So there is 1,459 points. It was a grind. I mean a literal grind. I mean, considering I'm on Master Ball now day 4, it is alright. Okay, it's not too bad. But this season was, in my opinion, the worst season there ever has been. Like, it was literally hype driven, right? Everyone was playing Rampardos and Silvally and Buzzwole, and that's it. Like, literally, it was, yeah, to say the least, it was very tedious. Now, I've had 203 losses, 187 wins, a lower win rate than the previous 2 seasons. Nevertheless, we've reached Master Ball, right? So in this video, I'm going to show you guys all of the decks which I've used. It was a total of 4 decks which were deciding to finally reach Master Ball. So let's actually get into the first one. Alright, so the first deck I've actually started using was a Buzzwole deck, right? So the way you're looking at this version here right now, this was my final version, which I started and stopped using in ranked. Right now, in the beginning, I've actually had this slightly different. I actually played with with 1 Celestine instead of 2. I've actually had the Beast-type Pokemon tool in there. I've had 2 Kartanas in there instead of 1. Yeah, it was way different in the beginning. I've actually played it with 1 Cyrus and 1 Sabrina in the beginning as well. So, yeah, there was a lot of experimenting. But this version, as you can see now, is the final version. Now, this version is essentially the one which carried me all the way from Ultra Ball 3, almost up until Ultra Ball 4. Now, I've been stuck for the past 50 points or so in Ultra Ball 3, which was a turning point where I had to switch decks because I started encountering purely Charizard decks and Solgaleo decks, and they were kind of tough to beat with this deck, and even Guzzlord decks, because of the poisoning. Even though we have a type advantage, it was very, very difficult. I've actually lost a lot of rounds where I decided then to switch around. But nevertheless, this is, on this entire list, right, from all the decks I've played, this is probably the most skill-intense deck, right? This deck requires a lot of skill. It's very important to know when to place energy on which Pokemon in the right moment. If you mess up 1 turn using this deck, I'm not going to lie to you, you can literally just give up there and then because you're not going to win, right? Being too reliant on Luzamine is something you want to avoid, but using it in the right moment is something you definitely want to do. So you have to find the delicate balance between going with the right card in the right moment. Now, you can optionally also throw in a red card in there. Now, I've also played with a red card for a couple of matches, but I found it to be less useful than the current setup, which you're seeing now. Right, so that's my first deck. Alright, so the second deck is a Guzzlord EX deck, and specifically the same exact version you're seeing here right now. I've optimized this a few times here and there, changing a few things around, and this is what I found to be the most successful version of playing this deck, right? With Naganadel deploying poison for 1 energy, Nihilego in the back, running Guzzlord EX with Celestine. This deck was so good, it carried me all the way to Ultra Ball 4. It basically got the job done, regardless of what deck I faced. This was a game changer until a certain sticking point where I had to switch again because I started to face more and more Rampardos and Silvally decks. Now, that was on Friday, right, when season obviously first started. So yeah, that one was very difficult to actually deal with those Silvally and Rampardos decks because they were very fast in comparison to this relatively slow setup. Yes, we are going to do damage with Poison Barb, but a lot of players are actually starting to use Guzma, which basically made things even worse for me, which was basically the turning point where I had to decide to again switch. But again, in terms of fun, this is probably the most fun deck I've had in a long time because I do actually enjoy the poison mechanic so much. It basically is ridiculous how good Guzzlord is actually, with the first attack being able to steal your opponent's energy That was a game changer. I literally won so many matches because the opponent couldn't just attack anymore, and he didn't have energy to retreat neither, so it was just a disgusting situation for a lot of people out there. So yeah, that's essentially my second deck. Alright, so this is deck number 3, Charizard EX and Tortonator. This one was essentially the deck which got me all the way to the upper top of Ultra Ball 4. I got all the way to 1,370 something points, which was just bloody crazy. This deck, essentially, I've played different versions of it as well. At first, I've had the solo Charizard, but then I started encountering the Chicken Nugget again, which basically had me switching things around again. Then I switched to the Charizard and Blaze Fallon version, which was basically just blasting through content. But then I started losing again, which was again a turning point where I did again some micro tuning and started using the a different version, which I started encountering quite a lot, which was Charizard EX and Silvally. I found that deck to be very bad. I'm not gonna lie to you, like, I do not understand what the hype is about. Maybe I've just been unlucky with that deck. I literally had bad RNG and whatever. But that was the worst deck to play with. I mean, Silvally obviously great, but not in combination with this Pokemon here, in my opinion, right? But anyways, anyone who's gonna play with that and is successful with it, then good for you, mate. Good for you. The best version, again, what I found to be was this one here, because you do have the support from this dude here, Kiawe, which basically allows you to top up your Tortonator instantly. And I've had a lot of rounds where I started with Tortonator first and then just simply second round Kiawe on it, GG. And that did so much pressure where a lot of people just couldn't keep up with it, right? In the second or third round, you're already attacking with 90 damage, decimating all of those type nulls and stuff. So yeah, that was essentially the deck which changed the tide of ranked for me until a certain sticking point where I started switching to my last and final deck. So this is my final deck. This one got me all the way to Master Ball at the end. And let me tell you this, it was probably, in my opinion, the worst season up until now. Like, this season was terribly horrific. Like, literally, the amount of times I've been in Ultra Ball 4, dropped back to Ultra Ball 3. I mean, like 3 or 4 times that happened. Literally won 2 games, lost 3 games, won 4 games, lost 5 games. It was just terrible, like horrible. Regardless of whatever deck I've played at one stage, it was just losing battle after battle, which was a turning point. And when I reached again 1,370-ish points, I started using this deck because everyone was using it. And I was like, come on, give it a try. All right. Then I started winning. I've had like 8 straight wins with 1 loss or so. No, wait, I've had 1 loss, then I've actually won 2 or 3, and then I actually lost all the way till I got back to 1,320 points, right? I've lost like 40, 50 points, which was then a turning point. I have had to take a break. So I took a break and then I started back in strong with this deck. I've had to optimize a bit, and the version you're seeing now is, in my opinion, the most optimized version. Now, there are little tweaks which you could be doing. Because as of now, if you're going to play this deck, there will probably a point where you're going to be facing a lot of same decks. And those mirror matches are pretty annoying. Because if you're playing against Rampardos and Silvally with the same deck, essentially whoever is able to throw on energy first has a straight up advantage. You're going to be the first one to be able to decimate the opponent Silvally first, and then it's all about whether the opponent is able to draw out a Sabrina, if he does have a Sabrina, to switch out your Silvally, and you have to be able then to catch up with bringing up energy on your other Silvally, and so forth. Like, it's a back and forth, and it's essentially whoever drops Rampardos also on the field first probably gets the win. Not always, but yeah, it's just disgusting. It's literally disgusting. Like, those mirror matches were no fun whatsoever. Difficult matchups for this deck are also against Buzzwole. Buzzwole can be very tough because you need to have a fossil on the field. And if the opponent does play Pheromosa, then you're going to be having a problem. Because the opponent can then attack your Pheromosa, your fossil with 20 damage each run, which is pretty annoying, right? So yeah, those are like some of the difficult parts. But in general, this deck is probably the most well-performing deck, for me anyways, at the moment. It's just a no-brainer deck, literally. This deck requires a lot of skill, right? It is not as skillful, difficult as the Buzzwole deck, but it does require a lot of skill, because at times you need to decide whether you want to give your active position Silvally energy or your benched up type null or whatever. Like, it's those little differences which win you the games at the end. And again, you can tweak this around. At the beginning, I've also had a Guzma in there, but I found it to be less useful later on because I've encountered less people playing decks with Pokemon tools, so I've actually just gotten rid of it. Giovanni is one of those cards you definitely want to have in there, because if you're running in a mirror match, you're going to be able to one-shot the opponent's Silvally using your Silvally, which made the difference in a lot of matches. So I can only recommend running one Giovanni in there. I don't see the point of running red, actually, because this deck does a lot of damage as it is. So it depends. If you're going to be facing a lot of Buzzwole decks, then maybe running a red in there is also a good option. But yeah, as it stands, these decks which I've showed you just now are actually the best current decks which I can recommend, and 3 of them, except for the Guzzlord decks, are actually all meta, like literally Buzzwole, Rampardos, and Charizard. All of these are the top 3 meta decks currently in the game, so I can highly recommend anyone playing with these decks. And as always, I'm going to conclude here. Do let me know down below in the comment sections what you think about these decks. Let me know where you're at the moment, and if you've already reached Master Ball, you might want to share your deck. Do put it down in the comment sections. As always, thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Until next time.